So tell me about Tune Incorporated.
Oh, okay. So our organization is there to grant people who are like me access to study music. So we open that door, and right now we're doing a couple of fundraisers to be able to afford free lessons for kids or adults, anybody who wants to learn. So that's our mission, basically, to grant people access who might not have the financial means to take lessons. We want to open that door because just because you don't have the financial means doesn't mean you don't deserve an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And how does that's a nonprofit?
yep, we are a nonprofit. We're working on our 501c3 at the moment. Our fundraiser tomorrow is for that. So, yep.
And now, is that at the Civil Rights Center? Is that the one you were talking about, or was that yesterday? You had one. You had an event coming up.
Oh, yes. So the event, okay, we have many events
Okay,
coming up.
that's
We had
why.
our Mezzo Forte Cabaret, which was in the Higher Theater downstairs.
Mhm.
And we were also going to perform at the First Fridays at the International Civil Rights Center and Museum. Actually, our second Christmas concert was there, and they have been a big support of our organization. So,
So tell me about how, are you guys stationed somewhere? Do you have an office? Do you have a?
unfortunately, we don't have our own place right now. So we are under the CAP program of Creative Greensboro. And actually, we rehearse in this very space on Mondays and Wednesdays, and also Saturdays now. So, yeah, it gives us a chance to use a space temporarily. Unfortunately, the thing about that is we don't have a storage space. So I have my keyboard so people can come and practice, but I have to like literally bring them with me every time versus like being able to pull them from somewhere.
Okay, cool, cool. And how can people find your organization?
They can find us on Instagram at in.tune.123, or they can go to our website, which is www.intune.gso.org.
Cool. And tell me about, have you had, how long has this been going on? How long has Tune Incorporated been going on?
Well, it's been going on for about 3+ years now. It wasn't a nonprofit in the beginning. It was just a way for me to get people from the community who love music to come together and put together a project. Something I didn't see that Greensboro had here was show choir. And I was like, I'm going to bring that to the table. Thought I was. And so we had our first Christmas concert, and people were like, oh, great, when are you guys going to do your next thing? And I was like, oh, and I was stunned for a second. And I said, why not make it a nonprofit so people from the community can come together and have fun learning music, not just learning, but performing, and then putting on performance so the community can see like what we've been working on.
Wow, that's awesome. And have you had a lot of students, pupils, whatever you?
Off and on, I've had a couple of students. We had about 12 in the beginning,
Mhm.
and some have gone on to do their own things. And one of the things we promote people to do is like, hey, go shoot. We kind of want you to stay in tune because like we want you to be part of our family. But if you are going somewhere like pursuing a career, whether it's in music or you're applying for a musical, we want to give you the knowledge that we have so that when you apply, you're already ready set. A lot of things that people run into is they go for these musicals and they're told they have the talent, but they're not prepared. They don't know how to do an audition. And so we give them the knowledge they need so when they do go for the audition, not only do they get it, but they know exactly what they're reading when they give them the music.
I got you. And I guess that can be nerve-wracking, especially if you don't know what you're walking into
Yeah.
for an audition. I mean, can you tell me about some of the things you ran into? Because you've done a lot of things. I was looking at your Facebook page, all the things you had
Mhm.
you had been doing, and I'm sure you had been through these trials and tribulations yourself.
Well, to a certain extent, one of the things I see that people go through when they're auditioning, some people are nervous.
Mhm.
And one of the things I try to do for them when they're nervous when they're auditioning for Intune is just let them know we're here to support you. We're not here to just judge you and bash you down. We're here to like tell you, hey, you got this. We're gonna bring it out of you. One of the biggest things I've seen with singers when they come into audition is they think their range is a lot lower than it actually is. And so one of the techniques I use for them, even when they're auditioning, is I say, when you're singing high, think low, think like you're digging. And so then we do a vocal warm-up. And they're like, wow, I didn't know I could actually go that high. I was like, yeah, you can actually hit these higher notes if you just change your technique. And that's something I learned from A&T, from one of my vocal professors. So like, I take what they've given me and just help other people the same way.
Mm.
And so that also helps them when they're auditioning for other, whether it be plays, musicals, or anything else they're auditioning for. They use that technique and they go, I can hit that note because I know how to.
Yeah, the vocals. It's a unique tune. It's a unique. It's an instrument in and of itself.
And you have to take care of it. I think a lot of singers who aren't really, I guess you can say, informed when it comes down to their vocal abilities. They think, I'm just going to sing. Like, there's sometimes where you need to rest, you don't need to sing. There's sometimes where you just have to keep your throat warm so you can hit other notes. One of the bad habits I've seen singers do is drink cold water before they sing. And I'm like, that's going to not damage your vocal cords, but it's definitely going to limit your vocal ability in the next few minutes, you know. So we just kind of like giving the knowledge too. I'm not a singer, but I try to give the knowledge that I have from taking a vocal class of how to protect your voice and different methods of singing.
Mhm. Now, what got you into it? Where did you decide that you wanted to play, that you wanted to maybe perform?
Like in the very beginning?
Yeah,
or-
in the
okay.
beginning, yeah, like when you were still, like when you was, maybe when you was a kid or whatever, when you had started out.
I think it really hit me that I wanted to be a music teacher when I was in middle school. I got into the chorus there, and our chorus teacher, her name was Mrs. Susan Perry, and just watching her be able to teach a class, it was like the way she made music. Oh man, like and she picked out the perfect songs too. I love her songs. I still have some of her song choices, but that's when it hit me. I was like, I really love music, and I really want to teach, and it was middle school.
And when did you start playing the piano?
I started when I was about 7. I took lessons at 12, but I started, like my dad, he actually works in the motion picture industry. And so, excuse me, he'd be out of town. Sometimes he would go to Wilmington, sometimes South Carolina, sometimes Atlanta to work on different films. Like he worked on Touched by an Angel. What's the other ones? Super Mario Brothers, Domestic Disturbance, Radio. I'm pretty sure you've seen the movie
yeah.
Radio. So he would be out of town. And so when he was out of town, he would leave his keyboard. And as he left his keyboard, I could press the buttons. And I discovered so many different styles of music. And I was like, I really like bossa nova. I like jazz. I like this. I like that. I was like, all these songs sound so great, right? But they're not played in the mainstream. So the only way I was able to access music at that time, because we didn't have Pandora, we didn't have Spotify, we didn't have Apple Music when I was a kid. So the only way for me to access those
It was a
different
long
styles of
time
music-
ago.
No.
Long time ago.
So yeah, so I was able to like, and it felt like I was going to that country just by listening to the music, just embracing the culture from the sound. And so that's what really got me started with music.
Cool. And you'd play some Joplin here a minute ago.
I did, that was Make Believe. One of the things I had done when I was in high school, I participated in the Omega Sci-Fi Talent Hunt.
Mhm.
And we had to pick a classical piece or maybe even a piece from that era. And so that's one of the ones I practiced. That's not the one I played. I played Claire de Lune. And that's been years ago, so don't ask me to play that now. But, but yeah.
Oh, wow. How do you, like, how much time, I mean, how many years have you been playing?
Well, I'm only 21.
Okay.
So about maybe 3 years ago. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Certainly not 21. But yeah, I don't know how many years. At this point, it's been so many. I really didn't keep account of it.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I just realized I've been playing for graduations for high schools since 2005.
Wow.
I know, that was funny. I was like literally at the graduation for Northeast High School here, and I was sitting at the piano. I was like, well, when did I start playing for graduations? And I was like, oh, this was 2005. So my anniversary of graduations is coming up next year.
Wow. And you're so fluid, like you're so fluent in the keys and everything. I say this because I can't really play, but I'm trying to play. I'm trying to learn, and
I
it's
think
very.
everybody can play. You just have to practice it.
Yeah.
I think for me, I guess I'm fluid at it only because like I started when I was 7. So when I was a kid, I mean, just being with the piano all these years has kind of been like second nature now. You know, this that. And there's certain things I still have to work on. You know, but yeah, just being around the piano for a long time, you kind of get the gist of it.
Mhm. What are some of the more challenging pieces you've come across?
Challenging. I don't know. I think all the songs are technically challenging. You know, when you first learn it in the beginning, it's going to be a challenge trying to get it down. But one of the things I've always kind of stuck to is, and my brother used to always kind of be like, "Don't be scared of the music, just go. You got to do it." You know what I'm saying? He was like,
Dive
"Don't
in.
be, yeah, you got to dive in. You
Sink
have
or
to do
swim,
it."
baby.
Yeah, and we were going to swim. But yeah, so I don't know. I think all music, no matter what style it is going to be challenging. Learning a new piece.
Mhm.
Some are more challenging than the others, but I think they all should be a challenge.
Mm. What's the advantage of having a teacher or coach help you along here?
You mean for me or like? for
Just
instance?
as someone that's trying to learn.
The benefit of having a teacher right there is somebody who can sit there and help you with your techniques, that I was saying before. There are a lot of piano apps out there, which are really good too. But if you don't have somebody that can sit with you and tell you, hey, try it this way, or try it this method, or here's a technique you might use in the long run from somebody who's been experienced and playing for a while, you won't get that attention. It's always good to have that person that sits beside you that says, I see what you're doing there. Let's fix it. Let's try it this way.
As I'm listening to our piano tuner out there, you were telling me about piano. You were talking piano tuning with him, and it's
very
pretty
complex.
challenging.
Challenging is a compliment to how complex it is. I just remember outside of A&T taking, there was a guy, his name was Harold, and he was showing me how to tune the pianos. And he was telling me, here, try this, and I ended up buying a piano tuning kit, and he was telling me like the logistics of how it works, how to tune, and how things wouldn't be exactly in tune when you're tuning right. And I said, okay, so he gave me the little A tuning fork. I put it at the bottom, tuned A perfectly, and then went to the other keys, and I thought, okay, if I tune it in a way that these notes are perfect, it's going to come out and it's going to sound great, and there might be one note that's off. I got about maybe 8 keys in, and I was like, something's off, and it's because I tuned it exactly. It's very complicated. I'll just leave it at that, because I'm going to bore you. I'm going to Mr. Rogers y'all right now.
Right, Mr.
But no, it's very complex.
Minus the sweater.
Yeah. Won't you be my neighbor?
Yeah. And he started to explain the math to me, and I couldn't quite I didn't spend enough time,
You can
trying
tune it using fourths and fifths. It's just like, how there's a perfect fourth, perfect fifth, right? And they're called perfect because they're tuned in the same synchronicity, if that makes sense. So, but everything else is not going to be perfect. So all your fours and fives are going to be almost absolutely, possibly, probably perfect, which is confusing. I know. I'll explain that later, but yeah, it's a lot that goes into it.
Okay. And we talked about some of your. I asked you what are the most challenging pieces of music. What are some of your favorite pieces of music to play?
One of my favorite songs would be, as I said before in one of the other interviews, Liebes Lied. It's a German piece, and I also like One Note Samba because it's one of those songs that talks about itself. It explains the music. And One Note Samba is saying this is just a bit of samba built up on a single note, and it talks about how this note goes into the next note. And everything goes in a scale, and if you're out of that scale, you're in no-show. No-show means it's not going to sound good because you're out of the scale. I'll give you an example. So if we're in the key of C, which has no sharps, no flats. Now, if you're in that scale and you play something that's out of that scale, it's going to sound off. I'll give you an example. It's a bit minor. That doesn't belong in the key of C. Or that note doesn't belong. Sounds off. And so the song just talks about itself, and I just love how One Note Samba is talking about music in general.
All right, I guess there's nothing left to do but play, right?
Right.
If you play whatever your heart desires, I
I'll
suppose.
do the One Note Samba. How about
Yeah, there you go.
New note. Same note. Like this first note. Now the scale. New scale. Back to the first note. Second note. And I'll end it with everything's in a scale.
I'm getting some Charlie Brown vibes from that.
Da 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 da. What was it? The Peanut Gallery or Peanut Gang or something?
Yeah. Are there any other events you have coming up?
Well, last year, I'm hoping that Creative Greensboro will offer us the opportunity to do our Another Step Forward Festival. We've had one before here. It was called Another Step Forward. It just brings the community together to see the resources that are available for them and just network. So it's all about bringing the community together with diversity and unity.
Mhm.
So hopefully that'll be coming up, and I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Mhm. And the reason I had heard about you was from Sherry Rayford at Shared
Oh,
Radiance,
okay.
and I had done a program with her. I did I never saw. I think it was called "I Never Saw Another Butterfly," something like that. I'm messing up the name here. Anyway, I saw her downstairs at
Okay.
the Stephen Hires
Mhm.
Center, and she said, "Hey, You have to get this guy. You have to get him. He's great. So that's when I messaged you.
And that's funny you said that. We are actually going to probably pair up Shared Radiance with Intune on a project coming up very soon. Sherry's also one of our board members. She is amazing. I love how Shared Radiance takes the Shakespeare plays, right, or their scripts, and they bring them to life in such a way that people can understand them better. A lot of people can't understand Shakespeare's wording or his dialect.
Yeah, the language.
It's very complex.
Yeah.
So they break it down in simpler terms, and the way they just put on, the show Othello was, oh my God. You guys, if you didn't see that, you missed it. It was really good. DJ actually was the director of that one. He did such a great job. But Shared Radiance is such a great organization, and they've been a big supporter of Intune. So, and like I said, Sherry has been on her thing.
Yeah. Oh, she's awesome. We love her.
Yeah.
All right. If you want to play us another tune, maybe two, whatever you want to do, whatever your heart desires.
Okay, I'll end with a waltz. How's that?
Then with the waltz.
I'll just intro the beginning, and then we'll finish up from there.
Tell me about growing up for you in Wilson.
Other than it just being very country, because I grew up on the outskirts of Wilson. It was very,
Okay.
very country. So the only thing we had to do then was go outside, play, and throw pine cones, play the video game, or play an instrument. And so,
And tell me about your time at A&T, and how'd you find A&T?
well,
And,
my godbrother actually was going to A&T State University before I got here. And he said, come on, go with me to A&T. And I said, okay. So I got there, and our music program is very, very small, which it came in handy because, I got the one-on-one attention from my professor. So that's what it was like there for me. I had a lot of opportunities. I've even played for the Multicultural Student Center when we had the thing with Ilyasa Shabazz that came down. Met the chancellor. It was a lot of great opportunities that I had just going there and being around, the campus. Because, again, I was like the only piano major there at the time. So, yeah. But it still opened the door for me to even become into a space like this, too, just being able to just come down the street. And then, actually, when I first got here, I hadn't really planned on really starting anything right away. I sat down downstairs, and I had my notepad in my hand, and I was writing down the things I saw that I wanted for my organization or anything I was doing. And so at that time, I was building my vision board. And so as I was building my vision board, I was like, I want this, I like this, I can incorporate this, just writing, the things you want to see in your vision. And I said, well, while I'm here, I might as well find out how much it costs to be in a space. So there's no need in having a vision if you don't have a goal to get to that vision. And so I met Nick Helms, who was over the CAP program at that time, and he told me how, cheap it was just to get a room. And I was like, well, sign me up right now. I don't have the funding right now, but I can come up with the funding. If it's only going to be $12 for a couple of hours, I can do that, And you just make the best of what you have. Like, when I first started, I didn't even have a keyboard. The only thing I walked in this building with at the beginning was just a metronome, the thing that takes the timing. And then after we've been around for, yep, that's exactly, that's exactly what it was. And after that, Guitar Center had sponsored us so much that I was able to get the keyboards we needed
wow.
to teach the lessons. So they gave me so much because they saw what I was trying to do for the community and what I needed. And they were like, here, just take this. Micah Miller has been of Guitar Center Music Foundation. She's the president, and she has been such a big supporter of Intune. It's not even funny. Without their support, we wouldn't have the keyboards or some of the equipment we need to be able to give the kids the opportunity to learn. Even the books, Micah sent me some books the other day, and I was able to do my lessons just yesterday with some people who were thinking about taking piano lessons. So they have been a big, big support.
That's really cool. And tell me about your time here in Greensboro, because had you ever been here before you come to A&T?
I only came here one time, and that was for GHO before I even went to the school. And I didn't know much about Greensboro. I just saw this as one big town with a whole bunch of Walmarts. Because I'm from a small town. We didn't have we had one, And so coming here, I was like, oh, it's so easy, and it's easy accessible to get where you need to go. For instance, being from the country, we didn't have a Mac store. So if your Mac broke down or something needed to be fixed on your computer, you had to schedule a day and then drive to Raleigh. And so and then now the Mac store is 10 minutes away. I could just I could just drive there, and I'm right there to the same day. I don't have to schedule a time and things like that. So the convenience here has been so tremendous to me.
That's really funny. I just called Mac today.
What
'Cause-
happened?
Well, I had to, I got a MacBook Pro, late 2015 MacBook Pro,
It's
and
probably about that time.
the thing about it was, it needed an update
Mm-hmm.
for the new,
System, right?
yeah, the new, yeah, and then my wife been complaining to me about it for some time now, and but anyway, I had to update this thing, but there wasn't enough storage on it. Like I had gotten rid of everything I can think of, like offloaded my pictures onto somewhere else and deleted everything I can think of. And I was like, we about to get into the weeds on this thing, because I started getting rid of cache files and stuff like that. But I
Okay.
was like, we getting into like necessities of the operating system, and I don't want to do that. So I was like, let me call somebody who knows what they're doing, right? So I called them, and well, I had to call. I went to a call center, and I had to restart it in. It wasn't safe mode, but it was a
Reboot
different.
mode where you actually enter things in some of the little screen that you can type things in.
Something like that, yeah.
It
It
was
was
like a
some
little black screen with something. Is that
Yes,
the same?
yep.
Okay.
And so I had to reboot it, and it sent it through with that, and it was really fascinating. And
So
I
you
was
were
like,
able to update it.
yeah,
Okay.
oh my God.
I was gonna ask if they had to tell you that you needed to get a new computer.
No, I
or
was
buy
waiting
more
for
memory.
that.
I was thinking they were going to tell you to get a new computer, or you had to purchase more memory, or because this computer is so old, things like that. So.
Yeah. No, that was one of those times. The lady was so helpful. I was looking forward to giving her the review. You know what I mean? You get the
Understand that.
nah, I don't really care about the review.
You're more like, well, I gotta make sure this person gets the credit she deserves. I
Yeah,
get it.
exactly. I went out of my way to figure out that.
No, I definitely understand that.
Yeah, because that's hard. That's oftentimes rare to find these days.
Yeah, that is. I guess it goes in a two-way street. Sometimes it's harder to find the customer service, or sometimes it's hard to find customers that actually take the survey.
Yeah. Yeah, two-way street. But anyway, what we were getting into was, so what was your impression of Greensboro when you got, other than the Walmarts?
Well, I would say when I first got into the cultural center, how about that? When I first walked into the cultural center, I thought, oh, this place is spacious. It has so many floors. You have dance project, and they have a whole big space up there. And you also have Greensboro Ballet, CVA, the African American Atelier. And I thought, wow, this place is really big. And I was like, well, we probably need some more diversity in here. One of the things I didn't see was a lot of diversity on the posters, and so I thought, well, that would be great for me. I'm a minority. Me coming here might benefit the cultural center, seeing it's called the cultural center. Just being in this space would be a big benefit. So, yeah, that's my observation when I first got in here. And then I saw the African American Atelier, and I was like, we can collaborate. We'll work out things because they are minority organizations just like us. And so we partnered up on a couple of things, and now I'm looking forward to partnering up with some of the other organizations here too. But yeah, just being in this space, when I first walked in, I was like, this is a big space of opportunity. Hopefully that one day we'll actually have our own, I really want us to have our own space in here. I love this, I don't want to leave this space. I mean, I've had some trying times before, but this is the perfect space for Intune to be at.
Yeah, this is like the space where everybody comes. It's sort of a melting pot. It's got all
Yeah.
kinds of organizations. It's got a little bit of everything.
And what I noticed is that when people walk in here, they're really inclined to the arts. They don't know exactly what art project they want to take on, but they walk in here trying to get an idea or a gist of what they want to do. And so sometimes people walk in, they look like they're just roaming around. I'm like, you need help with anything? They was like, no, I'm just browsing to see what's available, what I can get into. As a matter of fact, Tanya Ross is downstairs, teaches awesome vocal lessons too. I've met her just from being in this space. And me and her kind of partner up on some things. Or there's a pottery thing on the first floor too that I'm thinking I want to take some pottery classes just because this place offers so much.
Right.
But hopefully in the near future they'll have more diversity in the space. I hope they will.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your goals for yourself, for the future. I know you said you want to stay in this space, but you said you wanted some space here. But tell me about your personal goals for yourself.
That is my personal goal. No, but no. But no, one of the things people came up to me and said, hey, Josh, what do you want to do in the future? And I'm like, I'm already doing it. With Intune Incorporated, this is what I really want to do. Now, one of the things we're working on right now is doing our study abroad program. If you're talking about learning music from different cultures, right, or learning about different styles of music, right, why not go embrace the culture itself and see where it derived and kind of embrace the culture and kind of get the authentic sound of the original music there. Like, for instance, Bossa Nova. We're planning a trip right now to go to Rio de Janeiro just to embrace the culture and see what the authentic music sounds like right there in the very space.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're gonna have a fundraiser for that too, so if y'all wanna buy some more popcorn. But yeah, so, yeah, that's one of the things we're working on.
Okay.
That's one of the goals, you're talking about in the future, that's one of those goals.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with, perfecting what you're, because you have a mission, you have a drive, this organization, Tune Incorporated,
Mhm.
perfecting that, spreading it out. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Just making sure everybody has access to study music. Everybody should have an opportunity. Whether you have the financial means or not, it shouldn't hinder you from getting the opportunity to learn something you want to learn.
Mhm.
So I didn't let it stop me, so I'm not gonna let it stop anybody else.
Mhm. And do you offer these lessons for free, or is there a charge, or do you work on like a one-on-one basis with
Well,
the
I do
individual?
one-on-one. Right now, we're doing group piano lessons. Unfortunately, I do have to charge right now because,
Mhm.
we have to pay for the space, so I have to get something in, so we're able to not only sustain as a nonprofit, but to also sustain in our space. Now, in the future, hopefully I can offer free lessons. If we get the support that we need from the community, as long as we can pay our instructors to teach, the students should be able to learn for free. And as long as we get that financial support, we should be able to make that happen. And right now, we're just trying to get to that point.
Why don't we have for you to go out on to introduce the Maple Leaf Rag and then just play it, and that will be your outro.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see if I can remember all of it. Jesus, I don't wanna get there and start skipping on keys.
Yeah,
They look
you're.
like, no, he didn't say he was teaching music and messed up on Maple Leaf. I'll start at the beginning, maybe.
No pressure.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm trying to remember all of it, but it's a lot to memorize. I've done that since, high school maybe? Yeah. But yeah. Thank you guys for having me.